and welcome to Friday Reads, where I tell you what I'm reading this weekend and review last week's pick. Last week, my Friday Reads was The Keepers of the House by Shirley Ann Grau. This was my mom and I's February pick for our year of Pulitzers, and it won the prize in 1966. Now, The Keepers of the House follows the Howland family, who basically own this small southern town. They founded it and own it. And the story is specifically looking at William Howland, his granddaughter Abigail, and William's black mistress Margaret. Now, this book deals with the issues of race and equality and civil rights and discrimination in the late 1800s through the 1950s and 60s. And while some of the writing style kind of dates this book to the 1960s, it is still a pretty radical story. So the whole premise is that this woman, Abigail, she is come back to her family's home after her father leaves her family, and she is living in this house, and it is just this beautiful, amazing house. And we get the backstory that something crazy has happened, something scandalous, something just like absolutely bonkers. Well, it turns out that we go back a couple decades, and Abigail's grandfather, William, had a black mistress, Margaret, and they had 3 children together. And so the book is detailing William's story and Margaret's story, and then finally Abigail's story, and the repercussions of William and Margaret's relationship many years after they both have died. And I found this book to be really powerful and definitely deserving of the Pulitzer Prize. Like I said, the writing sort of dates it because you can tell that she is not skirting around issues, but had to be careful of how she approached things. If you think about, it was published in, I think, 1964. If you think about 1964 in the United States as far as race and equality and discrimination and civil rights, it was a pretty tumultuous time. So you can definitely read that in the way that she approaches different things and the way she writes characters. But I think that it still has a lot of relevance, unfortunately, to today and how scandalous these things are and when they become scandals and just how arbitrary it seems to be. So I really enjoyed it. I would have never picked it up if my mom and I hadn't decided to read it for our Pulitzer year. So I'm really glad that we picked it up and we read it, and I definitely recommend it. So that is The Keepers of the House by Shirley Ann Grau. This weekend, I may not be reading a ton because we, as of this video, are picking up or have, depending on when you watch it, our Nintendo Switch, which is the new video game console from Nintendo. So I know that we're going to be playing a lot of that this weekend. However, I am still reading, and I do have a Friday Reads. So this week, my Friday Reads is The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. I have heard about this book for many, many months, maybe a year or so. A lot of people on Book Riot really love it and talk about it, and I saw it. I don't remember where I saw it, some used bookstore, and I picked it up and I thought, let me give it a shot. So people say it is sort of like a better fantasy Hunger Games. It is an adult book. I don't think it's a YA book. At least I didn't see anything that says it's a YA book. And it has gotten really, really high praises. It is, I think, the first in a trilogy, The Queen of the Tearling. It's at least the first of a series. And I'm not very far into it. I am 42 pages. I just finished the first chapter. So I am enjoying it so far. I'm too early to really tell if I love it or like it or not, but I plan to be reading this week. So that's The Queen of the Tearling by Erica Johansson. That's all I have for this week's Friday Reads. You can find all of my other Friday Reads videos, as well as all of our discussion videos, our podcast episodes, our reviews and wrap-ups. All of that is at GameAndRead.com. And you can also find us on social media. We are on Twitter, Instagram, Litzy, and Facebook at Game and Read. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.